My man. And it's not even just you, James, or me and Sean. You brought Laura with us.
I was gonna say, man, I like your pillow.
Yeah, no, it's not a pillow. It's just a poor man's way of holding up a friend that wouldn't stay there without the light glaring the hell out of this shot. But anyways, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you, man.
Cool. Let me just get some light in here.
Absolutely. So it's about, what, 5 o'clock over there, right?
Yeah, what time is it over you guys? Is it 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, just a little after 8. And you're in Seattle.
Yeah,
right?
man. Yeah, Seattle, Washington.
All right, so let me ask you, before we get into anything, with Washington being like the #1 spot that this all like began in the U.S., how is it over there right now? Is it true in the sense that like they're saying that it's going to be like the first one to reopen or whatever because you guys were the first affected?
Yo, that's a great question, man. Well, I'm right at the hub, so I was right where Amazon is, and so I'm unaffected. At least that's what I think. And so yeah, man, I've just been being safe and being like courteous, and I've already been like for about the last 5 years kind of a stoner loner, so I'm okay with it.
Hey, that's it, man. We film out of my apartment. I live alone, so
dude,
that's it, buddy.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And there's some things that I think there's some things that are breaking down right now that we're meant to break down. And
yeah. And hey, it's quarantine, man. You got to learn. Maybe you should learn how to do some handiwork in this time. You know,
yeah, man.
A little clean around the house.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, you guys are killing it because it sounds like you've got like you're building your Instagram and you're building kind of your product and everything like that. And I mean, that's kind of what you got to do right now. And so.
You know, it's we started doing these videos 9 months ago, and it was always during like our free time, and that's all we have now.
Yeah, right, dude.
So this is my life at the moment. Where it wasn't so much my life 9 months ago. You know, this is what's keeping me a little bit sane.
Yeah, man.
So.
Yeah, you just got to be creative as hell.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. So what have you been doing to pass a little bit of your time during this?
I've been going for walks, and I've just been like. I started a thing called a Zen bartender where
I saw that actually.
I do these completely wrecked cocktail recipes. Really, it's just to try and make you laugh. And also, I've spent the last 5 years being a bartender, and so it's like, you talk about trade skill, dude. It's like, what do I have to offer at this time? And I think a lot of that is trying to make people fucking laugh, dude. Because I'm not a carpenter, so. You gotta utilize your talents,
Yeah, laughter is honestly like one of the things that everyone needs at this time instead of just like dread and fear and worry. So,
dude, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm walking around for a second because I'm just trying to get some good light in here because Seattle's super bipolar, and so it's like sunny, and then
I hear that. Hey, living in Florida is super, like, yesterday we had like a shit ton of rain. Today we have like hot weather.
Yeah, it was like beautiful skies and everything. So
you guys are Florida?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, what part of Florida?
Right in Palm Beach County.
Is that south of Orlando? I'm assuming, yeah.
South.
Yeah, south. Oh yeah, over like in between West Palm, Miami, like that area.
Yep.
West Palm. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, what a trip! What do you like? How do you like living in? I thought you guys were from like Boston.
Well, I'm from Boston. Yeah, I'm originally from
Boston. Bruins t-shirts he's wearing in our videos.
Hey, gotta love.
Well, you sound like you're from like Jersey.
Me? Really?
Yeah, a little. I don't know. Maybe. Well, I'm from Washington, so who the fuck knows, But like,
yeah.
I visited Jersey for like a weekend one time, and I felt like I heard your dialect out there.
Okay. Yeah, you see that.
You split that Jersey a little bit. You do. You got
dude,
that.
How do you guys like living in Florida, man? Especially with everything that's going on.
Hottest. Well, I mean, outside of the heat, it's definitely chaotic a little bit. Where everyone here should be like quiet, inside, staying safe. And I look outside, I have to like, go across the street. It's busy. Like no one's staying inside. And that's like something I'm like looking around like this ain't good.
People are pretty careful about the quarantine. Some people are great. They haven't left their houses since the beginning and they won't for a damn thing. And then you have people, places are still pretty packed and whatnot. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, my daughter's been Rapunzel. She's like
Really?
locked up in a tower.
Oh, dude, that's super cute. How old's your daughter?
5.
That's super cute, dude.
Yeah.
Nah, man. Well, and that's one thing about living in Seattle is like you were asking is, dude, it turned into like a ghost town, man. We used to have 4-hour traffic, and I live in the heart of downtown, so you know, it's
Yeah.
bustle and hustle, and it's kind of eerie. But again, man, I like it. I just kind of like the fact that things have slowed down a bit.
Well, we're on the subject of Seattle. I imagine, because we're gonna talk about Twin Peaks for a second here. I imagine.
Wait, what?
The gig with Twin Peaks, that had to have happened from an audition in Washington, clearly, right?
Yeah,
because like they filmed on location for the return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, at least where they could, obviously, wherever they could, not on a studio. So, can you tell us a little bit about what it was like auditioning for that part, and like how do you mean, like how did it all come to fruition? Let's hear it. Fucking hear the story. You ain't got shit else to do, James. I want to hear.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, man, because I'm trying to tell it different every time I tell it. So it's one of those scenarios.
Tell us like the grandest version of the story. The one that's like the bookseller one.
The bookseller
like comes from the show.
the one that'll put in my autobiography.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'll be dead before that comes out. But so I guess it all started like, dude, I've been an actor since I was like 16, and then I started, professionally, and then I just, I'm 31 now, and I was about 25 when the audition came out, and it was one of those things where I was like, dude, I'm so fucking tired of auditioning, man. I'm tired of this industry. I was 25, and so you may as well have been like 65, like Hollywood didn't give a shit. And yeah, man, so it's kind of going through this weird like reevaluation of my life. And my girlfriend, I had this audition, and they were like, we can't tell you what it's for. And I was like, oh, it's for fucking Ford, man. I don't want to do this. It's just a stupid car commercial.
Exactly. Be the hands on the wheel.
Yeah, man. And I'm not I feel like I don't like that corporate's good money, but anybody can do it. Put him in a suit.
Yeah.
He's got to be good looking, 6'5" or 6'2" or some shit. But and so my girlfriend was like, I was like, I'm not doing this. And she was like, no, go ahead and do it. Like, do it. Do this last one. No expectations, nothing. And I walk into the audition, and there was no lines. There was nothing to memorize. And that was a huge load off of my shoulders. No stress, right?
Yeah.
And so then the lady, the casting director, lovely lady, she ends up asking me, she's like, well, what do you do? And I was like, oh, I'm a bartender. And she's like, well, how do you like being a bartender? And I was like, I love it. And she's like, well, what do you love about it? And I said, it's funny because you realize everybody's the same, no matter where they're coming from in life. Everyone wants to be heard. They want to be recognized, and they all want a good cocktail or a beer.
Yeah.
And, so, that's all I said, man. And she was like, okay, cool. I'm going to submit you for this role and this role. And I was like, I don't know, whatever. I still thought it was a car commercial.
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, I got a phone call that was just like, you're on Twin Peaks. And the cool thing was, it was like, you're playing Deputy Jesse. And I was just like, I was a fan of David Lynch's more cerebral work. So like Mulholland Drive.
Eraserhead. Did you like Eraserhead?
Dude, I even like Dune, man. I'm one of those few people.
Yeah, so I like Dune too, so it's still a pleasure for me as well.
It is. It's one of those dated films that like it just is what it is, and the soundtrack is kick-ass, and like I thought it was cool. But I was never really into Twin Peaks. Funny enough, though, my dad, we used to watch The Simpsons growing up, and they would have a lot of Twin Peaks references, like Who Shot Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
Dude, there's
a play on Who Killed Laura Palmer.
Yeah. And so I guess like subconsciously, like there was already a connection. But again, man, I only knew Twin Peaks from pop culture. And then watching the show, I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, it's all about deputies up in this place. And so I don't know what's...
Yeah, dude, if you're going to play anybody on Twin Peaks, man, it better be the fucking law enforcement. That's like one of the best.
Man. Yeah. There was a lot of law enforcement.
And you were talking about the soundtrack. Let's talk about a little soundtrack here. Did you like the return soundtrack? I thought the music killed on this season of the show. I love the addition that they added with the live performances throughout the season.
Yeah, man, that was one of
I
my
thought
favorite
it was
parts.
great. Did you have like a favorite song on the soundtrack? I love the Nine Inch Nails one.
Dude,
I like how he calls them the Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
Nine Inch Nails. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That was my all-time favorite song. And then there was the one where, and like no ego attached, it was the one where I was like staring off in the distance at the sheriff's department, and it was like three girls, and like because it faded into them playing at the house, and it was these three girls with these beautiful voices, and it sounded like such
It's like they're like an indie rock band. I can't think of who's.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about though.
Dude, and Eddie Vedder. Yeah, Eddie Vedder even.
Yeah,
I love that song. I like the Chromatics too. The song Shadow from I think it's like the pilot or the second episode. The song by the Chromatics. You know that song?
Okay, yeah, man.
Shadow. Yeah, just a good soundtrack. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. There's so many things I liked about that season of the show. As far as Twin Peaks, did you end up going back and watching 1 and 2 and like kind of doing a deep dive?
Yeah, you got to do. I mean, as an actor, you got to do your homework, and so that's kind of rule number one: is look at the source material.
Of course.
But and I got off on it. I like the whole like. I like the fact that it's kind of a traditional, like a traditional TV show. But like way not a traditional television show, and so. You know, it was one of those things.
How did they get away with so much of the things that they did on like fucking network cable? You know, like when you think about like other shows that were playing at the same time as Twin Peaks, people must have been like when they saw that on TV, you know, at the time.
Well, I think that was also at a time in television where they were seeking that kind of content. Wasn't Mark Frost a part of The Wire, or like he did another show that was huge at that time, and he teamed up with David and ended up creating Twin Peaks. And I think at that time in television, it was.
Was it Northern Exposure?
Dude, my dad loves Northern Exposure, but
I
don't think it is.
I want to say Northern Exposure was Mark Frost. I mean, whoever's watching this can change my mind right in the comments.
Yeah.
But I
put in
think,
the comments.
Yeah, I think it was Northern Exposure. I know the story about how they met.
I haven't watched that show in forever. I always
Northern
remember
Exposure.
Yeah, I always remember the moose in the beginning. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's the only thing I remember from it.
You know?
Yeah. Well, that's funny too, because I used to get that mixed up, Twin Peaks and Northern Exposure, when I was a kid, because I was just like, it all takes place in the mountains, right?
It's a really woodsy place.
I wish I could recall. There's a title for the original pilot of Twin Peaks. It wasn't Twin Peaks. It was something else. Do you know that story?
No,
and it was similar to Northern Exposure. It was a different name, but it reminded me again of that same concept. I can't think of the name off the top of my head now.
Do you remember the name of the show?
Yeah, no, because Twin Peaks, when it was written as a pilot, it had a different name before it settled eventually on Twin Peaks before going to air.
Wow.
I can't think of the name of it.
Dang it.
Yeah. I mean, the pilot's originally written as a film.
Someone knows it out there. Somebody knows it out there.
Yeah, the pilot of Twin Peaks was originally envisioned as a film by David Lynch, and then it became a series. And like, I don't know if you know this, like, did you know about the Mulholland Drive? That was going to be a spin-off with the character played by Sherilyn Fenn. Or not, yeah, the character of Twin Peaks, Audrey, doing like kind of like a spin-off that would have been in the vein of Mulholland Drive, but it eventually became Mulholland Drive instead of becoming a series that went to pilot.
Well, and
they shot a pilot. Like, you can look it up and see it online.
Really?
But yeah, it never got a full season order, and then it just became Mulholland Drive. And it was supposed to be like a spin-off of Twin Peaks with Audrey Horne. Could you imagine that?
I mean, that would be a trip, man. But also at the same time, like Mulholland Drive is like.
Yeah, it came out. It came out how it did. You can't complain. Yeah. So it's like you got what you got. So.
Well, and that's the thing about that. You got. I mean, what do you got? Wait, one more time. What do you guys do for a living?
Oh, we work in like internet SEO marketing online, so digital marketing essentially.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Marketing, for instance, is changing. It's a changing industry. And I feel like it's the same for the entertainment industry, you know, especially like, look at what we're doing right now. It's a trip and a half. And, but the thing about, I guess, what David Lynch does that I admire is, you know, you've got a projection, like you've got an idea about where you want to go with this idea. But he kind of relinquishes this sort of control and just sort of allows his creativity and his sort of dream state to come through. But mind you, too, on the flip hand, when you're on set with him and he's directing, man, that dude is super proficient. Like,
really? I know.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, like I was even thinking about it before this interview. and I would say he's probably one of the only film directors that I've ever had who is so choreographic, like he's so choreograph oriented, um, standing in a certain position and not breaking or doing this and looking at this thing and looking at that thing, and I just find that choreography kind of gives an abstract quality to his work, because a lot of people are like, oh, what the hell is he doing? And let me devise all these ideas. And again, that's what I love about him. I just think that his work, it affects you on a subconscious level. And there's not a lot of material
like
that
when you
does
watch
that.
The Return, I think the part of the genius of the show is that he kind of strings you along from episode to episode.
Mm-hmm.
And you as the audience have these, the expectation going into the show that you're going to get the Twin Peaks you got 25 years ago, or that most generations caught up with on streaming later and became a huge fan of. It became like a cult hit.
Yeah.
And he came out with this show that just fucking subverts every expectations. He flips the bird at every opportunity to give you the familiar. And like, that's some of the ballsiest shit. He gave you the show that won like 12 Emmys the year it came out. Then he fucking flips it on its head and he gives you something you have to think about, something that's not easily palatable. And that's why I think that The Return is among, if not my favorite media that's ever been released in the last 5 years, easily.
Man, that's really tight, dude. That's really cool to hear.
I think if you watch episode 8 of that show, that's just that episode will hold up. The atomic bomb drop. That episode will always hold up in The Return. I think that's one of the best episodes of television that's come out in recent history, period.
Well, I feel like that was like if David Lynch had the chance to do Fantasia.
Yeah,
that's
right.
What that would be, man.
That scene blew my mind. I couldn't believe when I was watching that live that they got away. Like Showtime fucking funded that. I was like, it's just what other people are doing that. Like that's to me is the definition of an auteur. Like who the fuck would do that?
Yeah,
David Lynch would.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's another funny thing is just this idea too about like him dropping these like mind-blowing ideas like of just fix your hearts or die kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Like what did the atomic bomb bring to the consciousness of people? How did that change the like good evil paradigm in our reality? And I think that those concepts, through especially like his imagery, he's not like he's outwardly saying like, oh, where did this happen and this
yeah, exactly,
but he's showing it through imagery, and it's just like, whoa, I've never seen anything like that before.
That's he kind of allows you to come up with your own opinion about it. He doesn't spell it out for you, which I love.
Yeah, dude.
So we were going to talk about some of the other stuff, like what other films? Potato Dreams of America. Is that like, where's that at now? What's the status of that in terms of its production?
Yeah, man. So I shot 2 movies in the last year. One of them was Potato Dreams of America, and it's a Washington film that was a documentary about a gay Russian kid coming to America to escape persecution of being gay, but then inadvertently I don't want to give too much away, but inadvertently meets a stepfather who has his own demons that he's dealing with. And so I play a part of the stepdad's life. And so it was a real beautiful experience, because a lot of it has to do with just transgender issues. It has a lot to do with homosexual issues. It has a lot to do with like contemporary issues that still need a voice. And me being like a heterosexual white guy, I'm just really honored that I had a chance to kind of like learn and be involved in that kind of dialogue.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just kind of cool, man. Just allowing to kind of like listen and learn, and then portray what you learn.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So my opinion, or not opinion, but what I think is going to happen is that film got done. I think it's basically wrapped. They might still need to pick a couple more pickup shots, but the festival circuit. Hopefully, I'm hoping for Sundance.
Yeah, good stuff.
Because yeah, man, that would be the second movie I had in Sundance, and so I'm like, let's keep it going, man.
Absolutely.
And then the second movie that I did is like the counter opposite. It's a movie called Martingale, where I play kind of like a quote unquote Jesse Pinkman, kind of
Okay.
character, dude.
I don't know why, but I can see that working, man.
Yeah, what's up with that, man? Wonder what that's about.
Not typecasting you or
No,
nothing, James.
not at all. Not at all. But no, it's yeah. So it's like it's basically like that troubled youth kid trying to prove his worth, and that struggle of just like trying to stand your ground in a world that's too fucking dangerous for you to stand your ground.
Yeah,
If you want to play with big dogs, you're gonna get bit. Kind of a story.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, I'm just like, really what I'm learning in the world of acting is Twin Peaks did a lot for my momentum. And then I'm just kind of going with the flow. And I think the more I learn about business and the more I learn about kind of just this new surge of technology and entertainment, I think the better I'll be. But again, the paradigm is changing, man.
No, I agree 100%. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I learn new shit constantly. Like it's ridiculous. Like even doing this live setup here is completely a new thing to us.
Yeah, it's like it's our first.
But we're like it'd be fun. We've spoken to James on a few occasions, so let's chat with him.
Yeah, man.
But,
how's your?
I'm sorry. I do have a question a little off subject, but we were talking about like experiences and learning and things like that, and it made me think of something. Yeah. I did a little bit of research, and I don't know. I want to make sure this is true before I do, but I read something along the lines that back when you were just getting started, you were shadowing Tobey Maguire, or you were his body double or something like that.
All right, Peter Parker, you spill the details.
What was that like?
I'm gonna walk around for a sec because
go for it.
Yeah, my lady's also in a class right now. We split a studio, and dude, it's like it's especially with what's going on right now. It's just like whoa, you got to share all this space. Everybody's got to kind of coordinate and work together. But no, so yeah, man. Again, that was another opportunity. That was another thing, dude, of like giving up and just letting the universe happen. Because I was working construction. And I just gotten out of a relationship, and I was like heartbroken, dude. And I had this audition where in the audition, it was this guy ends up losing the love of his life. And so I was like, well, fuck it, I got it. All right.
It's like, if I could ever relate.
Yeah, here and now.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up just fucking breaking down doing that shit. But then the lady took me aside, and she was like, you're a little too young. But we'll keep you in mind for other work. And then, dude, I'm doing construction work, and I get a phone call, and it's the casting department. They're like, yeah, so we want you to be Tobey Maguire's shooting a movie up here. We'd like you to be his body double. It's called a second team, a stand-in. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
And dude, I shit my pill. I was just like, whoa, dude, like, fuck, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, man, that was a great experience because, like, I didn't, again, like with Twin Peaks, I kind of walk into these situations kind of oblivious, I think, sometimes to my own success. Because, again, I was like, oh, yeah, Tobey Maguire, he was Spider-Man back when, but I haven't heard, anything about him. Dude, this guy was like, Leonardo DiCaprio's best friend, like the elite of the highest end actors, man. And it was a killer opportunity because it just allowed me to watch. And like, because I'm a theater actor, like I come from theater, and it's like I got to learn about how to tone things down, how to like play to a camera, as opposed to playing to a theater. It's like you're playing to one eye.
Yeah,
of course, yeah.
Yeah, and how can you adapt to that? And dude, I love it, man, because film has always drawn me. Like I'm in love with that medium.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was huge. It was a really huge experience. And Laura Linney, Ray Liotta, dude. Oh my God.
You got to be Ray Liotta?
Yeah, he was in the movie. He was in the movie, and the way I met him was we were out in the middle of Concrete, Washington, which is fucking nowhere. Like it's out in the middle of the trees, man.
Isn't that where Boy's life took place?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Dude, no, it is. It
is Concrete.
I remember. Boy's life. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So there, like,
yeah.
And that's like 2/3 of Washington. But we're out there and we're filming, and I had to go to the bathroom, and so I jumped into the woods, and I'm taking a leak on this tree. And then all of a sudden I hear another scream, and I look around the tree, and it's Ray Liotta peeing on the same tree as me.
Oh my God.
And I was just
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, and I was like, you're Ray Liotta, and he's like, I am. And I was like, all right, man, cool.
Oh my God.
So, like, as
But
far
yeah.
as like the current
It was fun.
in film today, let me just ask you if of all the current crop of like film directors, big or small, is there any that if you could choose one to work with that comes to mind, like when you think about it?
Well, any one director?
I'll let you pick a fucking few, James. You get that privilege tonight.
I've always wanted to work for Scorsese, but
You love The Irishman or no? That was great. I thought. I like.
Yo, no. In fact, I feel like The Irishman was like the end of an era of film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt like the end of the modern gangster.
I hate
No
that
way.
phrase. They don't make them like they used to. But
Yeah, dude.
it felt
it's
like
so
you wanted to say it when you watched it.
Yeah, they don't make them like they used to. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the thing too. Is like I loved it, but it reminded me of like watching The Godfather, and I realized then how short my attention span has become. Like, because I was kind of like, all right, man.
I had to watch it in parts. So like, that
Did you
tells
really?
something. Yeah,
Oh,
I watched it in two
I
different
binged it,
nights
dude.
and 3 different nights because it's like a what almost 3-hour movie, right?
Yeah, it's about 3
Something
hours.
like that.
Which is great, man. I think there needs to be more movies like that.
Agreed.
But no, Martin Scorsese, actually, the number one director is Kubrick. If I could ever
Yes,
been
that's
part
my
of
number one.
That's my
Yeah,
favorite.
yeah,
I think that's our
dude.
favorite director. Period.
Yeah, he is the bee's knees when it comes. His movies still stand up.
Oh,
You're
of
like,
course.
You're like, what?
I agree, 100%.
But no, let's come more contemporary. I'd say, is it Taika Waititi?
Yeah, that's a good choice.
Yeah.
I've been watching Ragnarok. Did you see What We Do in Shadows?
Is that the one with the vampire, right?
The vampire one. Oh, yes. It's
dude,
so
he's
good,
so
dude.
brilliant, man. Yeah,
It's such a good comedy.
Well, yeah, and his movies are great. And then the guys who did the brothers that did Uncut Gems.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Did you see it too?
Yeah. Well, did you see Good Time? Good Times?
I know who you're talking about. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that movie killed. And then Uncut Gems. Their movies make me just like I feel on edge like all the time.
Anxiety, right? Like especially Uncut Gems. You're like
tension, man.
It's a very tense movie for sure. That tense movie.
Yeah.
I like Ari Aster. Did you see Midsummer or Hereditary?
Yeah, man.
I think he's doing good things. I like his style.
Now,
that slow burn feel.
Okay, yeah, actually, you just summed that up, man. I was going to ask, like, do you think his movies are scary? But I think, like, slow burn is a good name.
Yeah, they're not jump scares. So, like, it's a slow burn. It's a feeling of dread he provides you, like, slowly throughout the movie, and it kind of builds up. Yeah. I love that style. I think Ari Aster had to be one of my favorites. I'm always trying to get this man to watch, we finally did, but Midsummer. I loved it. I've been, like, talking it up so long.
What did you think of it?
No, I enjoyed it all. Beautifully shot. Like, that was my one thing I walked away from. It was, like, the camera work, the cinematography, everything was, like, really well done. It was something that I had already known a bunch about it before going in, so there was no, like, shock or anything, but it kind of got spoiled with some parts. But I still enjoyed it very well.
Did you like it?
Yeah, dude, in all honesty, I'm still a monster guy. I love monsters, and that's like my all-time favorite kind of horror shit.
I like some of what Blumhouse is doing. They did, with Get Out. I didn't want to like it, but I like the Halloween remake thing or whatever, the reboot, whatever. I don't know what you'd call it. I guess it'd be like a reboot. The Halloween one with Jamie Lee Curtis, when they came back, I thought it was actually really good.
She's in a wheelchair anymore,
you know.
She's like wheeling in with a shotgun. She's just like, what do you call it, man? The Babadook. Have you ever seen that?
Oh yeah, that was a good little creature feature.
Well, it's like, just that level of like, I like that. I like sound in horror films, like, because I find sound scares the shit out of me. David Lynch does that too.
Oh, of course.
It'll be like a girl smelling a flower, but it's like the sound of a woman screaming, and then that scene turns into like, whoa.
Yeah.
And so people
like suspenseful.
Yeah, people who can utilize sound, and then I've gotten to the point with horror movies where every good horror movie that comes out always compares itself to The Exorcist, and I'm just like, there's nothing that will be that movie. So like now I got to start seeking like, okay, there'll never be
Movies like The
anything
Exorcist, it's like it's not just the way the movie's made. It's also like a time and place, and like its place in history. It came out when it came out like when it needed to, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what like the new horror is going to be then. You know, is it going to be people? You know,
I feel
is it
like
gonna
the
be
best.
germs?
Almost kind of, in my opinion, I feel like what horror could go to next, outside being monsters, ghosts, demons, things like that, is honestly, like you said, people. Where, like, think that post-apocalyptic, like the savage human, like a Last of Us or Walking Dead, like how evil can someone get in the right situation and stuff based on their own survival? Like, those to me are things that I find scary.
I'd like to see a Stand adaptation from Stephen King. I mean, we've adapted all of his shit. You know The Stand?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. And
I think The Stand would make a fun story if done right. They've adapted every fucking thing else from Stephen King. It's about time they did that one.
Well, dude, I agree. I agree with you on the whole idea of people, because I've been working on a script for the last like decade, because addiction and mental health is a very vibrant philosophy I like to think about and talk about. And I was thinking, like, I wrote this film called Drugs: A Love Story. And the quotes beneath it is, if you can't face your demons, smoke them out. And it's a buddy comedy. And it's like people are their own monsters. Yeah. And I think the more we can have a dialogue about that, it's like it kind of makes people kind of think about, oh, shit, how should I show up? Or how can I don't know. I like fucking with you.
No, I like that. That's actually a great idea. Yeah.
But yeah, and so again, it's just like horror, man. That's horror and comedy. Those are my two jams.
Comedy, obviously, probably, I think is my number one. I mean, more often than not, if I'm throwing on a random movie, it's a comedy. Like,
we just watched the movie Brain Donors. You ever heard of Brain Donors? That's an obscure one.
See, that was the movie I had to show him. It was something I saw. It's John Turturro, like way back in the day, with like Bob Nelson, and oh my God, I'm forgetting his name. He played the albino in Princess Bride. It's like a Groucho. It's like Groucho Marx type movie. It's like an homage to that, and it's just like it's one of those movies which I loved as a kid. Great slapstick comedy, everything not meant for kids, but just it never got the light of day. So I was like, when we were doing The Verdict, it was like, well, let's do a retro one, and I'm like, watch Brain Donors.
Yeah, so that was a good one. We just watched it.
Yeah.
As far as TV goes, they just got done with where we both did The Watchmen on HBO, which was fucking.
Dude, that was the best TV. The best TV I've seen.
Yeah, that's what I was telling him. I was like, I don't know. It was water cooler talk because we work at the same place, and I'd show up to work the next day, like, did you fucking watch that? Like
sometimes
that was a water cooler show for me.
Sometimes I'd be like, not yet. You'd be like, damn it.
So do you think they're gonna? I heard they didn't get renewed for a second season.
I think they can do a second season. I don't think Damon Lindelof will have anything to do with it. The guy who wrote and directed this season. He said that like he was, and I can applaud that because everyone who usually writes and makes something very popular goes ahead and makes a sequel because it's available to do it, not because they had that in mind when they initially made the project. It was like a story on its own. He stuck to his guns and said, like, no, this season of The Watchmen that's it. It's self-contained. I'm not going to make a sequel of it. And I can appreciate that because everyone usually jumps at the opportunity to get renewed and just be like, oh, fine, I want to extend it. Like, it shows like Weeds and Dexter. Like, that shit just went on for too long. They didn't have an ending in mind.
Dude, I ended up hating Dexter by the end of it.
Weeds, these shows have really strong starts, and then they just kept renewing them without an end in mind. And, like, that's what ends up happening.
Have you seen the show Happy?
Yeah, I have, but on Netflix.
Only some of it. I haven't watched it.
I've seen a couple episodes. I like it.
But yeah, man, me too. It's like Roger Rabbit, like, but
I love that guy that's in Happy, and he's also in Wet Hot American Summer.
Oh, jeez.
He's the cook. He's the guy who works at the cafeteria.
He was the main guy.
He's the main guy. He's the main guy. I love that dude.
Yeah,
he's the guy who's like the cook in Wet Hot American Summer.
He was in like Law and Order SVU and stuff.
Yeah,
he's
in Law and Order. I know it's so weird to picture that dude in that show.
Right, man. Yeah, but no, there's a lot of good TV on, and
actually,
man.
Little off subject, but that same actor. Do you realize that he was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, and he is the very effeminate desk clerk that's getting yelled at?
Oh shit! No, I never.
Like it took me forever to realize that that's him.
Yeah, it's weird.
I swear that's him. I gotta look it up now to be sure, but I guarantee that's him. I gotta be safe.
Dude, that's crazy.
Oh, let me see.
But
those actors that just like sneak in, like Glenn Close played one of the male pirates in Hook, and I just saw
no shit. That's like a cameo. They don't even advertise for like in trailers and shit.
The one that got thrown in the boo box was actually
my god, damn.
Yeah, man. That's crazy.
I gotta confirm what
I always think of like when I look back on Hook, it's like the Spielberg movie I always forget.
Really, you don't like? I
don't go back to Hook a lot.
Spielberg
I go back to a lot of movies like Back to the Future and Jurassic Park. Don't go back to Hook too much.
Dude,
I do like it though.
Spielberg didn't even direct Back to the Future.
Oh no, I'm sorry. That's don't tell me. It's fucking Robert Zemeckis.
His name is Christopher Maloney, and he was the clerk in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I had to confirm that.
Dude, I love that. That actor kills it, man.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything he's did.
Yeah.
But James, anything you're working on now, or anything that you want to talk to us about? Any place we can find you online?
Yeah, man. I got rid of all my social media, but then this whole thing happened, and then I've got, of course, these films coming up, so I had to redo my social media, which is, dude, it's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt.
I like doing new social medias as the getting kicked in the balls. It's the same feeling. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, dude. And every morning I wake up and I'm like, I'm gonna tackle this. I'm gonna make a LinkedIn, and then I'm like,
who really wants a LinkedIn?
Yeah, who really needs that, bro?
Exactly.
No, and so I'm just Martin Gale and Potato, but also too is like I'm doing this Zen bartender stuff. I like comedy.
You're also doing classes. Are you still doing yoga? The yoga stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm still doing yoga. I'm working on doing more kind of online stuff with that, but
okay.
Dude,
you kind of have to right now, I imagine.
In one day I lost 3 jobs with this whole thing, and so that was like a blow to the gut. And so
I can imagine.
Yeah, the whole really, that's funny because really like yoga and sort of chilling out the nervous system right now, I feel like that's more of a self practice.
Yeah.
And also too is just like, again, making a business out of doing yoga, it's like that's great, but again, like it's kind of a thing that I feel like is best utilized with me right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how old you guys are, but I'm 88, 90s baby, and it's like I feel still like there's a strange disconnect doing FaceTime versus being actually in a room with somebody.
Of course.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I'm born in 85, so it's like I'm from that same era. So like seeing everything progress, like exactly what you just said, like it's kind of crazy that we're at this point.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But then again, too, even doing this, like it feels natural and it feels pretty chill. And so it's just one of those things. It's like, trying something new for the first time. And it's like, we'll acclimate in time. And in the meantime, really, I think like, in all honesty, to leave you with anything, it's like, we're all in this together. We're all losing our minds, or we're all just chilling out. And let's just chill out and be there for each other and fucking just know you're not alone, through anything.
I can't tell you how grateful I am for you going live with us and letting us fucking pick your brain a little bit and bullshit with you, man. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, so greatly appreciate it. And the bump you did for us before, like.
Did you end up watching Birds of Prey?
Yeah, man. It was kind of, it made me want to not drink. No, I don't drink alcohol, and it made me want to drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's movies, man. That's modern movies. And so again, they'll create, like, if you don't like what's out there, create your own shit, because you can now. So
exactly, man.
Yo, and you guys are 2 awesome dudes. And so if you ever need anything, let me know, and I'll just keep on checking you guys out.
Definitely, man. Stay safe. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a good night.
Deuces.